Hello, everybody. Welcome to Undertow. This is a Shift mini-series set in Maelstrom, a game setting and game system created by Hitpoint Press. You can check out more information about Shift and Maelstrom by using !Shift in chat. You can find the previous episodes of Undertow on our YouTube. You can use !YouTube to get the link to that. Shout out to all of our Patreons. Because of our Patreons, everything that we do on this channel is possible. All of our one-shots, three-shots, marathons. Thank you so much. You can use Patreon for more information about that. Before we jump into our story, I would love to reintroduce everyone here at the table. So please tell me who you are, where we can find you, and tell us a little bit about your character, including any upgrades that we might have invested in over the break. And we will start off with Rue.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rue. My pronouns are she, her. You can find me on Twitter at CherryDrop. And my character is Ahi. His pronouns are they, them. And they... improvements pending at the moment. So we'll find out in play.
No worries. Thank you so much. We'll pop on over to Jasmine.
Hello, I am Jasmine, she, her. You can find me on Twitter at L_Jasmine. Other than that, I play D&D regularly with a group called Hero Club over at their Twitch channel as well on Tuesdays, and we're doing sort of a very loosely adapted version of Wild Beyond the Witchlight, so come check that out. I am playing Ash, who is got some new pistols to, see where that goes in this new journey, and its names are Judge and Jury.
I love that so much, and very timely on these instruments. You will find out soon enough. Thank you so much. We'll pop on over to Chris.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Tung. Most people know me as one of the co-founders of PinkCity.ca, which is an anime gaming streetwear brand from Toronto, Canada. I'm also the editor, producer, and current GM for Super Journey Dudes, which is a comedy TTRPG podcast. Right now we're running Blink Space Blues, which is a fun Cowboy Bebop Gundam-inspired neo-noir Lancer series. A lot of fun. And tonight I am playing the old water Uber driver Gizbar, who, is just making ends meet by ferrying people across these dangerous waters. And what I picked up since our last visit with Gizbar is I kind of branched off of the item that the sus old lady gave us with like the gizmos and gadgets, and I kind of, we made something cool, so I thought it'd be cool to kind of do something related to that. So I have a new ability called Technical Know-How. Keywords are handiwork and mechanical, and drawbacks or I'll get real hurt if it backfires. I don't know.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And then we'll hand it on over to Lexi.
Hello, my name is Lexi, also known as Pizza across the internet. You can find me mostly on Twitch and Twitter at pizza_yeti. And I am playing Jax Torrens, who is the siren for our 3 session. Essentially, Jax is somebody going around collecting stories so that people are not forgotten in the calamity that has happened in the world. And since last session, I picked up a trait called Ease the Way, with the keywords of Snapback and Rally, and potentially a drawback of Wither. And it's really just a way for Jax to continue assisting the folk that she's kind of sailing around with.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So just to touch on what we are playing here today as a reminder to those that might be joining us for the first time, Shift is a pick up and play RPG by Hitpoint Press that offers diverse options for GMs and players, having a minimal rule set, and it provides exciting character-driven story for the players. The characters here have traits which can be used to interact with the world, and the dice associated with their traits shift, better or worse, depending as the narrative unfolds. Their strongest talents are going to be at a D4 and can be manipulated down to a D12 before they are exhausted. We are using Maelstrom, which is a setting by Hit Point Pressed, available in the Shift Quick Start. It's free. You can check that out on their website. It is a game setting of eldritch horror, the supernatural, science fiction, and Atlantic coastal life. A cataclysmic event has left much of the world lost underwater, and people are forced to live in a harsh, rocky world corrupted by a supernatural force called the Deep. Before we jump back into our story, I would like to offer, at the reward of 1 CP to our players, would someone like to do an in-character recap? Okay.
I'll do it.
Please, take it away.
All right. Well, a lot happened the last time we were here. I don't know if you, sorry, helicopter. Gizbar showed up extremely late to picking everyone up. We were all on our way to Stronghold, and just everything got set back by 2 hours, which is very annoying. But as Gizbar always says, the sea does what it wants, so he'll arrive when he arrives. We then picked up several people along the way, including our friend Jax and Ahi, as well as a mysterious older lady who we never asked her name, which in hindsight was a weird choice, but that's what happened. We were all so busy because Gizbar arrived so late, so we were just thinking about that. So, oh well. Then we have finally arrived at Stronghold, and a little weird. The lighthouse wasn't working, and when we arrived, we found out that their beacon was not there, which is not usual. And we all collectively took a look at the lighthouse, and it seemed like there was something for us to fix, and the old lady gave us some tools to work with, so we worked with them and found a temporary solution, but it is not a permanent fix, so we still have to find the beacon of Stronghold. And according to the various people at the town, they went over to Hermit's Hole to talk to Guillermo, who is apparently the hermit over there. Never ventured there myself, but oh well. So now we're in search of the glory where the Stronghold's beacon is, as well as hopefully the rest of the Stronghold crew.
Absolutely. You can add 1 CP to your character sheet. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So as we open up on today's story, there is a sleepy haze over the settlement of Stronghold, here on the largest island of these cluster of settlements found in the Moon Isles. We are not but on the fringes of the Maelstrom, so the worst of the storms, we have some measure of sanctuary from them, but even still, in between all of the islands here, the shred, something of a much more diluted shade of the Maelstrom, rampages around. All throughout the night, when you were trying to sleep, you could all hear the thunderous claps of violent weather in the distance. The rain pouring, pelting down on the various buildings here, on the metal sheets that might make a rooftop for a nearby shop, or the various clay tiles that have been stitched together to provide sanctuary for a home. As we open up, we hear the single gong of the town bell. Perpetual darkness shrouds Stronghold, as it does with any other settlement here in the Moon Isles, but you all know this sound well. It means it is morning, and you can hear the sounds of industry slowly yawning awake all around you. I would like to know if there were any nighttime rituals or morning rituals for each one of your characters. Describe to me what this looks like as you begin your morning, especially knowing that today you might be seeking out someone that is very important, that might already be lost to one of the many storms. here in Maelstrom. And we'll start off with Ahi.
I think for Ahi, nighttime rituals, there isn't anything particularly special that they do. They kind of just get settled in for bed. I think they like to be in like a little like corner all like scrunched up. So they find like a spot where they can kind of wedge themselves in between furniture a little bit. And so they're like, taking like a couple of like a couch up against a bookshelf or something and kind of like tuck themselves into a little makeshift fort or just hiding under there. But when they awake, I think they wake up like before anyone else. And they get up and kind of try to silently like get out of their spot and go outside, and they do this little light ritual. They're able to kind of like make just these little like light motes show up, and they'll do that during the day just as a little kind of like hearkening to like when the sun did rise in the sky. They kind of do like a little thing, and it wasn't something they consciously chose to do. They just started doing it once they became the beacon, where they would just kind of have the urge to go outside and have like a little, like 5 little motes would kind of pop up, and they would just put them in like a little structure in front of them, and as like a signification of like the sun coming up in the sky and then going back down, and just like watches it for a little bit. And that's the only time they're really able to make these motes appear. They're not really able to do it any other time because they've tried. They're like, this would be really useful at other times, and at those times they can't just like call upon them. They just tend to come up like around what would be like 5 or 6 in the morning, and they kind of wave them away. They become like little smoky, like almost like a candle being blown out, and after that they're like, okay, and then they like go back into their corner and go back to bed for a little bit because they're not really a morning person. They just always wake up like to do this, and then they're like, all right, well, that's done, back to bed now.
I love that. Is this something that you think is special that Ahi does out of their own volition, or do you think this is something of a ritual that Ahi has done as a beacon on their island?
I think it's something that comes from being a beacon. I think before they weren't really an early riser, or they would sometimes, like, I think right before they became a beacon, they did start to get these, like, they would wake up early and they're like, that's weird, I don't normally get up at this hour. But once they became a beacon, they just kind of were like, oh, I have the feeling like I have to go do something, and they would go outside, and then this appeared, and they're like, I guess I have to do this weird thing that happens, otherwise I won't be able to fall back asleep.
You definitely notice as you're moving through the streets of Stronghold here, drifting these globes around you, that it catches the eyes of everyone that happens to be awake, that happens to catch a glimpse of it. There is something somber in the air as they look at you. You see hope in their eyes, but there's also this unmistakable sadness, as well as you remember that Sarah, the beacon for Stronghold, is missing. And you can tell just by looking at them that they're thinking about her. And some of the people give you an appreciative nod. Some people offer you food as you pass by as well. Small gifts and tokens of appreciation. But no one disturbs you, no one holds you back, and they just watch you as you drift your way through and eventually make your way back. And I imagine as you curl up into your little blanket fort, you have this feeling of comfort, knowing that you've touched the lives of some people in a meaningful way already.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And we'll see the camera pan away from Ahi and over to Ash.
Ash, knowing that tomorrow is sort of a big day and she's always prepared to go out into the sea, she takes out her 2 pistols, judge and jury, and polishes them off, knowing that these might come in handy if they were to run into any trouble. But, I'm sure that won't happen. I'm sure there's a perfectly good explanation for why the glory is gone. And it's sort of like a calming ritual for Ash to just clean and make sure, most of her life is so chaotic with chasing storms and figuring out what's going on with everything going on, that this was sort of the one thing in her life that she has like a lot of control over, which is to take care of her pistols really well. And it's just very calming for her.
Excellent. Where do you think that you've made your lair for the night? Your option. Okay.
Oh no, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say your options are limitless here, essentially. Yeah. There's like a tavern. Eliza has opened up their house to you. You definitely have space in the lighthouse itself. You could perhaps even join Gizbar on the boat. I mean, that's up to him. That's his domain. But yeah, where do you imagine Ash to be?
Ash will definitely go to the tavern. I think she likes to have some food and some beer before calling it a night. So she's just hanging out there until it's time to go to bed, and she'll probably rent a room there.
Okay, I love it. All right, I would like you to do me a check here. We're going to say that night, the lighthouse has been temporarily fixed, and spirits are very high in the tavern. People recognize you as being part of the group of individuals responsible, and they have so many questions, and they want to engage with you. And you have the opportunity here to be charismatic, to be engaging if you like, or you can, handle it however you want. How do you imagine Ash would interact with a group of people that are appreciative and curious?
I think Ash is not really great with the praise, but she is really used to people being curious about what she does, because what she does is so unusual and dangerous. So I think she's very good at sort of like really quickly deflecting praise and just being like, these are the facts, and like kind of maybe zhuzhing it up for an audience. Like she's kind of maybe built that over the years, even though it's not natural to her.
Okay, let's do a roll here. So it's up to you if you want to use your mind or soul. It sounds like it could really go either way here as you go about this conversation.
I think I'm going to use Ash's mind, because Ash, I think, takes a lot of comfort with what she knows, and she kind of just maybe already has like a little bit of a spiel like thing that she kind of already has that she knows hooks people in and stuff.
Okay, sounds good. So if you'd like to use a trait, you can also do that. Otherwise, please roll me your mind.
Okay. 1.
Okay, perfect. That is a critical success. All right. You navigate this conversation perfectly. You leave a lasting impression on all of these people. You find that a room is provided for you. People are offering to pay for your drinks, offering you food as well. Great conversation. And by the end of the night, you find, as you're finishing your beer, there is an individual here that has stayed, and you recognize that they are the owner of the tavern. And it is this very muscular woman, and she has dark, thick hair that is pulled back into a bun. She has bright blue eyes, and she's leaning forward, her chin resting on her knuckles, and she smiles to you and says, I think if you're ever in the market of buying your own ship, or just want to connect with someone who has great experience, I know a guy. let me do something for you. Please, you have been an absolute wonder. You've helped the settlement, and this is the best conversation that the tavern has had in weeks. 1 second. She gets up and pushes back the chair. You hear the scraping of the wood against the floor as she rushes over to the desk, the ruffling of paper, the scribbling of a quill, and she comes back, folding the paper and handing it to you, and says, "If you ever find yourself at Pride Point, there is a shipwright there by the name of Eleanor, a very good friend of mine. You'll find that Eleanor is, extremely high-spirited. But if tonight is any indication of how you can navigate a crowd of people, I'm certain that you'll be just fine."
Oh, wow. I really appreciate this. I've always wanted my own boat. I mean, yeah, it's Gizbar's great. Don't get me wrong. Gizbar's great. But is he a little late sometimes? Yeah. At least for my liking. Late.
Just so we're clear, I've written a little voucher, basically, of telling Eleanor of what you've done here and, putting in a good word for you, but they begin to nervously rub the back of their neck. I can't afford to buy you a boat or anything like that. Please don't think that's what that is.
No. I know this is just, I've been saving up.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, your room's ready if you'd like it. It's going to be the first one on the left up the stairs. Is there anything else I can get you?
No, I think that's all for today. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good night. And the tavern owner will slip away. You can add, actually, I'll go ahead and type this out to you, but we'll give you an asset, which will be a voucher for Eleanor. Is there anything that you want to do in the morning before you pass it off to someone else?
No, I think Ash just wakes up and once she's up for whatever mission she has for the day, she's focused and she's ready to go.
Okay, excellent. So the camera will slide on over towards the waterfront, where we see the compass. Gizbar, do you do anything interesting overnight, in the morning? Please paint a picture for us.
So I feel like Gizbar sleeps very strange. He sleeps on his boat, probably with a very thin blanket over him, but he probably is extremely stiff and extremely still, horizontally along the boat. And many times, I think throughout, if he's ever staying at a town, people have poked him with a stick to make sure he's still alive. He's just fully still, barely looks like he's breathing.
Are you a vampire?
He almost looks like a vampire. Yeah, he just sleeps very strange. But I think in the morning, when the sound of the bell rings, I would think that Gizbar is probably a little shook by the storms that he's navigated and the thunder that he's experienced over the course of his journeys. That a loud noise like that would just shake him awake very abruptly, and he'd just be like, "Whoa, Lord, was that you, Jet? Gosh, what are we feeding you?" And he's just gonna jolt up out of perpendicular. He's an L shape as he sits up. And I think his morning routine would just, he's a simple man. I think he would get up early in the morning. I think the first thing he would do is to check his body and see if anything has shifted, if any of the tattoos have changed significantly, to see if there's any different imagery throughout the course of the night. But the first thing I think he would look at would be kind of where a wristwatch would be. I would imagine there's a sundial looking tattoo that shows kind of what time it is in the mornings, and then that's kind of what he looks at to see what time he's woken up. I mean, he's an entrepreneur, he works on his own time, so he'll get up whenever. But yeah, his first thing would be looking at himself, and then I guess early hours of the morning, do a bit of fishing to catch himself some fresh food, and also Jet some food for the day.
I love this so much. Yes, that is so cool. Yeah, you look at your wrist and you can see that it is almost exactly 5 a.m. Though, of course, we are shrouded in perpetual darkness. It's kind of hard to tell. It's not as dark. The stars are still pretty bright above you. So it's really hard to tell. But you, being experienced as you are able to kind of discern whereabouts of the time would be even without looking at your ink watch on your wrist. But I would like you to do a roll for me here. Let's see.
Oh,
okay.
boy.
As you're looking over the various ink scrawls on your body, let's either have you roll a mind or soul check, depending on how you want to approach this. And if you want to use any traits, you can do that too.
Can I use like my ink trait?
Yeah.
It's basically ink, or like I called it the taste of ink. Shout out if you know what that reference is. And the keyword is insight. So kind of getting some insight to my body.
Okay. Sounds good. Did you want to
D6.
use mind or soul?
Sorry, yeah, let's I want to say mind, but I feel like I'm always rolling mind.
That's
because
okay.
my soul's real bad. It's a D10, but I feel like this is more of a soul because I think I'm like, in a sense, also kind of looking inward a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are manifestations of things that, you know, are based around just my existence. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll do soul, which
Okay,
is a
so
D10.
roll me a D10 and also a D6 for your taste of ink.
Taste of ink is good. No, oh no. So that's a 6 on the D6, and that's a 6 on the D10.
Okay. Oh
no, it's 5 a.m. It's too early for me.
That's a critical failure. Okay.
Boy.
So
Love it.
we talked about this a little bit before, so I'm gonna go
Yeah, I
ahead
didn't
and
think
go
it was
with
gonna
the
happen so
thing.
soon.
I know, I didn't think it was gonna happen so soon either. So instead of shifting one of your dice down, I'm going to give you a drawback onto your taste of ink. What does it look like as you are trying to discern information, but somehow this arcane power of yours is taking away from you?
Yeah, I think given the circumstance, and I feel like Gizbar has a feeling like this missing glory stuff, like there is something either sinister or mysterious at play. So looking at himself, he kind of already has a feeling that there are going to be images on there that might be a little strange and unknown to him. But as he does, I guess he would look at his arms and his torso and just like his whole everything. I guess he can see except his back. And he probably sees just like the tattoo shifting in weird ways, becoming shapes and figures that he's never seen before and he can't make sense of. And as he does, he kind of feels like the gray hairs upon his little beard start to grow a little bit white. The wrinkles around his eyes get a little more pronounced. His head gets a little more spotty. He starts to age. The drawback for this tattoo stuff not really working and the power that it takes does age him quite a bit. And as this is happening, he's just looking at Jet, all like kind of panicked. And he's like, "Oh God, it's happening again! Oh God!" And he's a little bit older now.
Jet stares at you with these large, dark, saucer-like eyes, these pools of infinite wisdom and complete lack of passion, perhaps acting as a grounding stone in this moment, or someone that just isn't available for you emotionally. Or, you know, you can transfer whatever emotion you want onto this literal frog.
Jet all the time.
Yeah, it's just a frog. But Jet is physically there for you. And they go,
I know, right? It hasn't happened like this in a while. This is a bad omen, I'm telling you, Jet. Got quite the day ahead of us.
You do notice that there is a set of tattoos on your sternum that is new. And it looks like a crescent moon broken into 3 pieces.
Oh, this is new. What do you think of this, Jet? What do you... Yeah, my thoughts exactly.
I would say they're like kind of like hidden under his beard, even that he just looks and he sees it. But he'll like kind of cover it up almost like a curtain again, and he'll note it for if anything that reminds him of three crescent moons split, or is it a crescent moon split into three, or
A single moon broken into three.
interesting? Okay, interesting. Yeah, he'll think about that one in particular if he runs into anything peculiar.
Okay. So as the camera begins to shift away from you, we will focus on Jax. Any particular nighttime rituals, morning rituals? What do we see when we follow Jax?
Yeah, Jax settled in at Eliza's house on one of the couches that Eliza had. A quiet night, just kind of considering all of the things that they experienced over the course of the day. But as the bell tolls in the morning, we see Jax just like writing out some notes in one of the notebooks that she carries. And as she kind of finishes up recapping the day before, she kind of settles into a little bit of a meditation, just like remembering the things that she knows about Guillermo, trying to like remember if she's heard of anything similar to this happening before in terms of a lighthouse going out. Still fairly shaken about what she heard right as they were following Eliza the night before, overhearing that a lantern wasn't working and that the lights were starting to fade across Stronghold. And as she does this, her magic kind of settles around her, and Jax is not someone that like can like imagine pictures very well. And so as like her magic settles, it's like the shapes of different things, but the outline is like the words that would make up how you would describe the particular thing. And so it's just kind of settling in the morning and kind of trying to remember any stories that she's heard or things that she's experienced on her own.
I love this so much. This sounds like a mind roll to me. If there's any traits you want to apply here, let's put it to a roll to see what kind of things you divine out of an investigation.
Yeah, I think Voice of the People would also work with this because she's trying to remember stories and her own experiences here. So that is a D4. And you said a mind roll?
Yes, please. So that will also be a D8.
That is a 5 on the D8.
Okay.
And a 3 on the D4.
Okay. That reminds me to Gizbar, make sure you mark your experience because you failed the roll.
Oh yes, yes.
Okay. For Jax, this does take a bit of a toll on you, on your mind, but you do manage to partially succeed here. You recall the various stories that you've come across, and you know that there is just such a wide variety of story, and coming from all sorts of sources, they do sometimes become unreliable, and perhaps that is why it takes you a while to get through everything. But all in all, you eventually come to the conclusion that there was this one time someone told you about a curse. You know that curses can be tied to the deep, that magic manifests in all sorts of ways here in this world. But everything that the deep represents, it represents something hungry. It represents something devouring, something dark, something sinister. And it has only one purpose: to snuff out light wherever it can, and to drag whatever it can get its claws and coral onto down into the depths. And you can't help but shake this feeling that it might be somehow connected. It might all be connected somehow. You don't have enough information to draw any kind of conclusion, so it's more of a gut feeling here, and a story about a curse that swallows light.
Yeah, I think as she kind of remembers that story, in the deep blue of her magic, there are typically like little silver flares in it, and I think that those, as she remembers like this curse and this story, even if it's just like the larger details of it, some of those, the flickers of silver just like fade a little bit, and it's just kind of a deeper dark blue as she continues to just like consider things in the morning.
Okay. We'll say that the group of you will join together at the water's edge. You'll see that Eliza joins you all together at the docks, and there are quite a few people there as well. You see that one of the shop owners nearby has packed some food for the group of you, and Eliza is standing there with her hands on her hips, looking over each one of you and says, "Well, where do you plan on going from here? I think we've loaded up your ship with whatever resources we can as a way of saying thank you. But what's the plan?"
Ash turns to Gizbar and, ultimately wanting to take his lead since it's his ship. I think maybe see what's up at Hermit's Hole. I think that's our, best lead right now.
You guys do see that his hair is more white and he is a little more wrinkly, and he's just like,
Oh, yes, Hermit Hole. Sorry, what was that again? Yeah, oh, yes, that's where the hermit was, of course, yes. If that's where we want to go, then I'll take you there.
Well, all right. Good luck. I wish you the very best. And she looks up towards the shred in the middle of the body of ocean here. And that storm isn't letting up even a little bit. I hope that you be careful.
I always am.
Got nothing to worry about. We're traveling on the compass.
All right. And Eliza will turn to Ahi, and you see that there is a wetness to her eyes, a sense of hope, a sense of fear, and she doesn't say anything, but she smiles at you.
Yeah, Ahi stands there a little awkwardly at first because they're like, okay, what do I do here? I feel like you're waiting for something, but I don't know what it is. So it's just a little bit of an awkward pause. Like everyone's like, okay, this is getting a little uncomfortable. But I think they like start saying something like once or twice, and then they're like, oh, okay, give me 1 second, and they like fish around one of their packs, and they pull out like a little pocket watch that they have, but when they open it up, instead of like a little clock face in it, it's a little mirror on one side and just like a little, it looks like something should be filling it, but it's empty. And I want to try to use one of my abilities, if I can get the right page up. Core of the Sun, to infuse this with a light. So they're hoping to like give them a little light as like, use this until one of us can return, like one of the beacons can kind of return.
I love this so much. Yeah. Okay, your Core of the Sun is a D6. Do you want to tap into your mind or your soul to activate this magic?
I think soul makes sense. I think it's kind of something that like the words almost tumble out before they can really like realize what they're saying. Like it's just kind of an instinctive like, I think this would work, and then like probably later on reflecting, they're like, why did I think about doing that? It just like came to me for some reason.
I love it. Okay, so that will be 2d6. Make sure you keep in mind which one is which.
Oh yeah, I should just pull out a second d6 instead of rolling it twice. Alright. Okay, so the core of the sun is a 1, and then the soul is a 3.
Okay, that is a critical success. Sorry, that's a regular success. Okay, with that, you are absolutely able to do this, and you can even push it a step further and make it special in an extra way.
Ooh. Trying to think what would be good. I think the special added thing, I think originally his idea was just like, this will kind of be like a little thing that you can hold and have for like stronghold just by itself, and hopefully it'll like hold for a little bit. But I think instead it kind of comes out almost like an everlasting flame that they can kind of use like to warm up like certain areas. So like it's not just coming out of this light. They can like bring it to like, for example, a house where it seems like the darkness has really taken hold, and it will kind of temporarily help people out in that moment.
Ooh, I love this. Okay. As you infuse your power into this, you see Eliza watching with wide eyes. There is a small crowd gathered around here that also does the same. Is your intention to give it to Eliza?
Yeah, it's to give it to Eliza.
Eliza takes it with both hands, and they, for a moment, hold it against their chest and say, "Thank you so much for this. We hope that you return safely.
And I hope that we bring back your beacon, but until then, consider this a little temporary beacon while we make our journey."
Thank you. And she takes a step back, giving all of you space to prepare to disembark.
As everyone, I guess, gathers around, I do want to just check in with everyone and be like,
how's everyone doing? Did you have a good night?
that's the title of the last episode. I meant to say it before.
I feel ready to go. And Ash, takes some of the food that was given to them by the townspeople and like tosses like a little chunk of it to Jet.
Okay. Yes, someone has given you a parcel of pungopang, which is essentially like a red bean cake inside of like the fried dough of the fish looking shaped thing. Yeah, it's so good. You like break off a piece and you throw it at Jet, and you just see the tongue catch it midair, and Jet bodily turns in your direction. He's just staring at you.
I forgot that this is a side effect of giving him food. Okay. And Ash sort of like kind of like turns away and like keeps eating.
You notice like as you're settling on the ship that Jet will move closer, closer, and closer, staring at you, not blinking.
I like pet him.
He's sticky.
That's fine. I expected that.
In the best way.
How else is everyone else checking in with Gizbar, settling on the ship?
Oh, got everything you need. Also, can someone check my back? Is there any weird stuff on my back? Are there any weird tattoos? I can't get back there, and Jet's no help.
I think Abby will help out. Maybe maybe we both help out. We're both like,
Yeah.
it's this is the trade-off.
Yeah, describe in great detail everything you see.
It's just a mishmash of things. None of it makes sense. There's like, for some reason, like a tower that you've never seen before, like something that looks like a unicorn, and then there's like a bunch of like ice cream bars, and yeah.
Hey, last time ice cream bars showed up on my body was a good day, so perhaps a good omen to outweigh the bad one earlier this morning. Ooh.
A bad omen?
Oh, just woke up on the wrong side of the boat. You could put it that way.
Yeah, you noticeably, I would say it's pretty noticeable that Gizbar looks and sounds a bit different than you last saw him.
Is this something that the party has seen before? Obviously not to the point where you are now, but in the past, have they seen you jump in age?
Maybe. I feel like if anyone, maybe Ash, because I think when navigating like treacherous storms and stuff would probably be when Gizbar uses his powers the most, which, more frequency, there's more chances that he would mess up. So she's probably seen it happen.
Yeah, I think Ash would have, and I think Ash at this point kind of doesn't really like comment on it, just because like I think also Ash in the past has been like, oh, you gotta like careful, you gotta or whatever, but she also knows like Gizbar's gonna Gizbar.
Gizbar's gonna Gizbar. He also low key like appreciates that Ash doesn't say anything because like comment on how old he's getting. Cool. Yeah, I get everything prepared for the compass to depart.
Okay. As you begin to pull on the various sails and the ropes and all of the boat stuff that Stella doesn't really know, you do it expertly because this is your life. This is your expertise. Let's try to plan out a course of action here. So we are currently docked at Stronghold, and we are intending on making our way to Hermit's Hold, which will be over here for my players on our little map. It is between Pride Point and Empathy's Embrace. You have the option of going the safe way around or cutting across the edge of the shred.
Ash's vote is to cut through the edge of the shred just because she thinks that she can like hold it off at bay and get them. We can get there faster.
I would be inclined to agree.
Oh, I did not expect that. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's like I feel like with Ash, like with us, I feel like a little more confident, right? We've been through pretty bad storms together in the past, so. And I mean, like, I think the urgency of the situation, like, it's already been a couple days. Like, I would feel like taking the long way might be a disservice to what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, cutting through the shred, it'll probably take you, depending on how bad the storm hits you, it could take like 3 hours. Whereas navigating around it could take up to like 6 or 8. So it's definitely a significant decrease in time at significant risk. So I imagine the group of you are kind of like settled as you're pulling out of Stronghold and you're going out into the open ocean. And you do have the ability to vote on it. Unless Gizbar, you just go for it.
No, I would turn to everyone and just I would already know like Ash's perspective on it, but yeah, Jax and Ahi just be like,
It's up to you. I'm not gonna throw us all into danger without getting your approval, but how do you feel about shaving down our commute by about half?
Yeah, I think Jack would typically vote for taking the longer way around, but is still fairly shaken by all of the lights going out in Stronghold and pretty concerned about the fact that no one has really seen Guillermo in a while. So just like, if if that's what it takes today, that's what it takes.
Yeah, Gizbar, let's punch it. I think Ahi is like confident right now with the like other thing working really well, and they've done their little beacon duty, and it felt a little more like they were in control rather than they're like, these are the things you have to, these are your chores for today kind of thing. Like they're feeling a little bit more like in charge. So they're maybe not quite thinking of the risk, and they're like, whatever, this is the dream team. We can do this.
I love this. I didn't expect this at all. Okay.
That's the spirit.
As you begin to navigate away from the safe course, making your way to the fringe of the shred, you can see a sheet of darkness in front of you. You see rain coming down in sheets, just pouring all as a single storm. Lightning crackles above you in violent claps, and you see streaks of fire. You see ice coming down in shards, and there are even bits of the water around you that break on the bow of your ship, and you could swear that you see magma underneath you as you are touching on just the edge of the shred here. The waves are unforgiving. You find very quickly that the water becomes choppy and it fights against the hull of your ship. Though there's no monster visible, you feel almost as if you're in combat with nature here. The boat rocks violently, and you find that you must grip onto whatever you can. You must tie yourself down. You are at threat of being tossed overboard here. I'm gonna need some rolls as the storm challenges you. I imagine the first one, most obviously, will be from Gizbar to navigate the ship.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah, let me do skilled wayfinder.
Before that, is it possible for me to do technique for everyone? Or my technique lengthen the wick to see if we can boost everybody's abilities?
Please.
Okay. Let's see. Technique. Your technique as the beacon is lengthen the wick once per session. While you're in glow of your lantern, allow each of your allies to shift up any 2 trait dice. You must shift your soul die down to use this ability. Yes, you can use this, but I will let you know that as we've started, everyone's essentially had the effects of like a long rest. So everyone should have their dice at max. So this will be great if like shit starts getting bad, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, we
In
can't
that
go.
case,
We can't go above. I see.
Because you're at your max
Yeah.
currently. Yeah.
Okay, in that case, I will hold until if things go badly.
Mhm. I think they might. This is a bad
Hey,
situation.
with my luck, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
So we'll start off with the navigation. Your skilled wayfinder is a D4. Do you want to use mind, body, or soul?
Let's do body because I'm putting my whole Gizbar Essie into this. I am. That was awful. Sorry to
okay.
everyone who had to hear that. Yeah, because I think it's a physical thing for me to like throw
Yeah.
everything and
That makes
my
sense to me.
dexterous. Okay, cool.
Okay, so roll a D6
D4
and a D6.
and a
Yeah.
I have a D4 on skilled wayfinder, I think. Right? Or no?
Yeah.
Or was that
D4.
max D4? Okay. Cool. Oh god, I'm like scared to roll that. Jeez.
It'll be fine.
Okay. So on the D6 body, I got a 1. But
Oh.
then on the skilled wayfinder, I got a 3. But
Okay.
that's still okay, right?
Yes, that's a regular success. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, as you are doing this, it's almost as if second nature. Your body is
This is
conditioned.
what I do.
Yeah, you could do this with your eyes closed, half asleep, while reading a book. You find it absolutely easy to command your ship. It is almost an extension of yourself here. And you all find that as Gizbar is manipulating the various sails and the ropes and the pulleys, that the rockiness of the ship is corrected. It's only occasionally that you are made uncomfortable here. but the elements of this supernatural storm still buffet against the side of your ship. You see bouts of fire threatening to catch the sails. You see lightning crackling dangerously close, threatening to burn a hole into the hull. Is there anything else that anybody wants to do here?
I think Ash would also do her best to try and use her Storms of Ruin to essentially, like, as the magma comes up against the boat, like, push it away as, like, sheets of rain fall on us, like, kind of give us a dome to try to, basically use her Storms of Ruin to, like, manipulate the ocean to, like, make it as calm as possible.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. Would you like to use mind, body, or soul here?
I would like to use mind.
Okay. So roll me a d8 for your mind and a d4 for your Storms of Ruin.
I think my mind is d6.
Okay, use your d6.
My soul's d8. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
That's a 2 for Storms of Ruin, but it's a 5 for mind.
Okay. So that is going to be a partial success here. So your spell, your magic does work, but it will come at a cost for you. So tell me what this looks like.
Ash is, no stranger to the ocean, and whenever she sees different things like magma and stuff come up, she's not surprised. She's done it before, so she's able to manipulate the elements. But I think because it's been so weird lately that there are things that kind of like shake her a little bit because she wasn't expecting it to be as fierce or as difficult. So I think there are moments where there were things that she wasn't expecting in the intensity that it came, but she is still able to use her ability to like fend it off. She's a little shaken.
Yeah. So this will shift your die down, so your d4 will become a d6. But it does count as a success here. So you find that there are no lightning holes, no fiery sails at Ash's expense. As you are piloting through this, it'll take about 3 to 4 hours of this. Very quickly, Gizbar and Ash are going to be exhausted at the effort as you continue to do this for this time. Is there anything that Jax or Ahi want to do here?
Yeah, I think Ahi is gonna try to. I'm trying to think which one I would go with.
I can describe a few more things if it will help.
Yeah.
So even with the dome-like shield that Ash makes of the wind to keep the rain off of the boat, it's still extremely cold here. You find that the chill goes deep into your bones and you're all shivering as you're trying to go about your work here. It's dark, it's raining, it's hard to hear things as the storm is just roaring on all sides.
Cool. Yeah, I think what Ahi is gonna do, I'm gonna go with the light within and the keyword mend, and I think they're kind of gonna take on a little bit of a supportive role and just sort of like keeping everyone's energy up and a little bit of warmth in Gizbar and Ash as they're doing what they're doing. So they're kind of like coming to each person, and I think they're like kind of like they'll like massage their shoulders, and it'll like it's almost like having like a little warming pad on your back. Like their hands are like really warm and they like hit the muscles that are starting to ache, and they just kind of like they're just like, I'm right here behind you, as like as far as like pulling a sail in or something.
Oh, you're a blessing, Ahi. Thank you so much.
As someone with chronic back pain, please, I need this.
Yeah, can this be real, please?
Yeah. Okay, so please roll me your light within, and would you like to use mind, body, or soul here?
I think in this one I'm gonna go with body.
Okay, makes sense. So it's a D10 and a D4, please.
Okay. So my body is an 8, but my light within was a 1.
Okay, perfect. So this will take a toll on you, but your magic does go through flawlessly. This will shift your light within down. Actually, let's make it more interesting. We'll introduce your drawback. So
Ooh, okay.
describe to me what happens as you are just pushing yourself a little too hard here.
Yeah, so my light within's drawback is overwhelm. So I think what happens is that they end up using a lot of the heat. They're like starting to draw the heat from their own body. And it is working. It's almost like an overwhelming heat. So everyone else gets like the nice like toasty warmth, but on Ahi's side, it's just like burning them up a little bit. Like they're starting to sweat and they're like becoming overheated and they're like just inner temperature is going really, really high. And then to keep the normal heat for everyone else, they're kind of taking on all the extra like offset heat.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. So Jax, yeah, you see Gizbar navigating the boat, you see Ash fighting off the storm, and Ahi is trying their best to comfort physically the party here, and you see Ahi is starting to show their own kind of fatigue, perhaps sweat on their brow, etc. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I think feeling the like tension of the situation and seeing that Ahi kind of has folk covered on just like physically taking care of people. Jax is thinking about the ways that she can also just like be helpful in this scenario, knows that there is like an emotional toll to being in stressful situations. And so I'd like to use ease the way with the trait of rally, and just kind of like essentially telling a story of a time that she knows that like people came together to overcome something very difficult in order to just like, I guess for lack of a better word, but like boost the morale on the boat.
Mm-hmm. That sounds perfect. Okay, so your ease the way is a D4. Okay, let's see.
Think that it should be a D6.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It is
That's
a
one of the new
D6.
traits, yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to use mind, body, or soul?
I think that this is a soul role just because like she's trying to connect with like the like emotions of people.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so go ahead and roll
So
2d6
also a
for me.
D6. That's a 5 for soul.
Okay. Oh, no.
Yep, and a 5 for
Oh,
Very used
no.
to way. Yep.
Well, you get an experience point.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That is a failure, but it's not a critical failure. So tell me what goes wrong here. Why doesn't this work?
I think in the back of Jax's mind, she's always like kind of worried that what she's been doing isn't like helping anything. And I think compounded with like we had a success with the lighthouse, but knowing that it was a temporary thing, that there's still something happening in the background, as well as like an echo of hearing like and remembering the story of the curse and the deep devouring, like that kind of starts taking over internally, and so she's not actually able to just like grip the like magic portion of herself as well in the situation. And so like her voice just like starts off strong but then kind of trails off as just like these different pieces start echoing inside her thoughts.
You find that the next couple of hours are some of the most difficult that you have, especially as a group, been through. But eventually, you make it out onto the other side. As you break through, you can see the storm behind you. Everything's wet. You're drenched from head to toe. Even with the efforts of Ash, she can't catch every raindrop. But the ship is mostly unscathed. None of you have suffered any bodily harm. And the sky is starting to open up, and you see stars again. You have a moment to breathe here.
Having navigated like some pretty bad situations in the past, and like how much everyone here has like helped Gizbar get through this, like probably smoother than normal. With Ash's help and even Ahi's help, and even though Jax failed to say that there was a part of Gizbar's like, I appreciate the story. Um, uh, he kind of turns back to them all, and he's just like, "Oh, you young whippersnappers have made my job a lot easier. So I appreciate it. Thank you. I don't think this is the first time we've all four of us have gotten together on this boat, and it's a good sign."
Yeah, I think successful sail through the shred, and I grab another one of the red bean food and eat some, also throw some to Jet.
You too, Jet. You did a great job. MVP. You held your shit together.
As you begin to pull away from the open ocean and towards the coastline, you can see the Moon Isle stretching out before you, and you pick out which one will have hermit hold. And you essentially see what is the equivalent of a small island with some mountains and a dense forest. At one point, this must have been the snow cap of some mountain range, but now it serves as a small place that's a bit too untamed for a settlement to reasonably make a home. But it's just right for someone who wants to get away and have some space for themselves. You find that there is no dock here. This isn't necessarily a place where people are welcomed. And you can see that there is a small pillar of smoke coming from somewhere deeper into the island. Gizbar, as a person who's well aware of the ship and stuff, you know that you can't, the ship stuff, yes. You can't just go up to the side of the island, otherwise you might get beached and it might be rocky and cause damage to your ship. So essentially, you'll have to swim.
Looks like we'll have to swim. Jet, again, watch the boat, make sure nothing happens to it. But the closer we get, the more dangerous, the more danger the compass is in. So, if you don't mind, please exit the ship carefully and safely.
You'll see that Jet, this suspiciously buff frog that's like the size of an ottoman, just kind of lifts up his back leg and kicks, and he knocks the anchor off the ship, and then he anchors the ship for you.
Oh, what a guy.
So you see that the shore is not a far distance away. It's very reasonable. Anybody could swim that distance.
All right, let's swim. These waters terrify me though, but let's swim.
Okay. So as each of you begin to make your way towards the island, you eventually come up onto the beach. You find a pretty rocky shore here, and you're able to climb up, and you fall into a bed of grass and have a moment to breathe. You see that this particular island doesn't have any paths, and you're gonna have to navigate through this small woodland in order to go towards wherever Guillermo lives.
As we approached the island, was there any sign of the glory?
Ooh, absolutely not. You are the only people here, other than whoever started that fire.
Off to a great start.
So you love to see it.
If it's still dark out, I would ask Ahi if they could provide a bit of guiding light as we navigate this little area.
Yeah.
I think I'll go with if I can use my core of the sun and just make a couple little like torches.
Yeah, I will say that this is something like really minor, so you don't have to roll for it. Like, you have practiced this. But what does this look like?
I think they just kind of grab a few little sticks that they see on the ground, and they are able to just infuse the stick itself with light, so the whole stick kind of glows a little bit. And you can, if you like point it forward, it kind of works like a little flashlight. It does like a little bit of glow, not a huge amount of light. I think it's not like, wow, this is like 50 miles of light, but like it'll give you like a few yards.
Thank you. It's always nice to be in the company of a beacon.
Yeah, they kind of hand them out. It looks like we're gonna need the light as much as possible. They look back over to the forest a little concerned.
Okay. Who would like to lead the way? You now have a light source.
I sort of turn to the group. My expertise is sort of on the sea, not really the land. So if anyone wants to take charge here, Jax,
Yeah.
you know Guillermo, right? Like,
Yeah,
what do we
I
need
was
to?
I was just gonna ask. You know this guy, right?
Yeah, I think Jax is still fairly quiet getting off of the boat, but is the smoke that we see in the horizon like in the direction that she would normally go to check in?
Yeah.
So she kind of will nod to herself and be like, yeah, Guillermo's house should be just like through the woods a bit. It is in the direction that smoke is coming from. Thank you for the tour, Shahi. And she'll kind of start wandering in that direction.
Okay. I'll need a roll here. What would you like to roll? Mind, body, or soul, and any traits that are applicable.
This is probably a mind roll because she's trying to remember the path back. And if I can, I'd like to use voice of the people as she kind of tries to channel the last conversation that she had or attempted to have with Guillermo when he again just like closed the door, but she's like remembering the path that she took to get to that.
That makes perfect sense to me. Go ahead and roll your mind and your voice of the people.
The 4 on mind.
Okay.
And a 2 on voice of the people.
Okay. So you do have a success here, with your, sorry, 2 on voice. Okay. Your voice succeeds, your mind fails. So we're going to have just a regular success here. Okay. So describe to me what it looks like as you use your magic to successfully lead everyone to Guillermo's dwelling.
Yeah, again, I think that her magic settles like around the full group, and you just see like the outlines of shapes as like words flowing past her, as you almost see like a ghost of an image walking through and like seeing the memory play out of, okay, it was this path that we took through the forest, and it was like there's a weird like Y branch off path. We have to take a right there and kind of following the echo of the memory.
Excellent. And as you're following the echo, it eventually leads you to a clearing where you see that pillar of smoke rising up from the top of what appears to be an oversized boot. And as you're approaching, you realize that there is a door on the side of this very large boot. That is the same door that was slammed in your face, Jax.
Ah,
She
they
kinda-
very good. Good.
Yeah, Jax was just like seeing the boot again, just like shakes her a little bit, and she laughs quietly to herself, and it's just like, so this is where Guillermo lives.
Yeah, the housing market's really gone to shit, eh? They're putting people in boots now. Lord.
Anything we should know about him before we disturb the peace?
Oh, he does not like talking to people. I don't know that I've ever had a successful conversation with him other than he will actually like kind of open the door when I knock on it. So
All right.
hope he's here.
So this will be Easy peasy.
That's gonna be great.
And as the group of you approach the boot, I think this is a perfect time for us to take a break. So we will be back in about 5 minutes. So please join us in doing some stretching, grabbing some water, and we'll be right back, everybody. So the group of you find this enormous boot. And from the very top of wherever the opening of the boot must be, there appears to be a pillar of smoke lazily drifting up into the dark sky.
So it's just like normal smoke, not like the boot is on fire smoke.
No, it's just
Okay.
making some breakfast kind of smoke. Because it would
Yeah,
be
I
like
think-
about 8 or 9 a.m. now.
Shall we? I mean, you know him best out of all of us, I guess.
Yeah, let's see if he answers today. And Jax will walk up and knock on the door. I think you're muted.
You knock on the door. How do you knock on the door? Is it like a gentle rasp of your knuckles? Are you banging on it? I feel like we need some more detail.
It's somewhere in the middle of those two things. Like, she's like, I need you to hear this knock, but I also don't want it to sound aggressive.
Okay, how many... Is it like a dung-dung or like a dung-dung-dung? How many times?
Just like 2 sharp knocks.
Okay. You hear the sound of the 2 sharp knocks reverberating through the innard of the boot. And the group of you can hear something shuffling around on the inside. And eventually you hear a muffled voice through the door, which remains closed, and they say, "Who is it?"
Hi, Guillermo, it's Jax. Do you remember? We kind of talk every once in a while.
I don't know a Jax. You hear a click, 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 slide, slide, click, some kind of device, a latch, something heavy, and the door peers open just enough you only see a single eyeball on a weathered face. They look out over the group of you and they say, "Are you with Sarah?"
Have you seen Sarah?
"You are not with Sarah."
We're looking for her.
Why?
I like kind of hesitantly turn to the group, like, it's okay if I keep going. Well, we were just at Stronghold and you know, they weren't there, the crew of the Glory, and neither was her.
So you're not part of the Glory.
No.
We are-
As you say no, the door slams closed.
We're
Oh.
search and rescue for the Glory.
Sorry, what they meant to say was yes, we are the glory, and yes, Sarah is with us.
Okay, Gizbar, roll me something.
Listen, Gizbar has been through far too much to do the whole dancing around. He's just like,
I don't have time for this.
Kizmar's like, I didn't get super old for
Yeah.
the door to be slammed in
Yeah,
my face.
yeah.
Okay, you can roll me mind or soul here. Or body if you want to shove the door open.
I'll do mind, and
Okay.
and if you would allow, can I, in like maybe like, and I could like add to like what I just said. Can I use the taste of ink? Because one of my keywords is insight. Can I get a bit of an insight to like why he's like this and what I could possibly say to get on his good side.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and roll me
Alright.
mind and your taste of ink, which I think is a D8 and a D6.
D6 and yep. All right, don't fail me now, tattoos. Okay, so the D6, the taste of ink was a 1,
Okay.
but the mind is a 5.
Okay. So what that means is that is a regular success. Okay.
By the way, lovely place. It's got a lot of soul.
You hear the door like latches locking at your terrible pun. Okay, so here your taste of ink succeeded, but your mind failed. So I think what happens here is you aren't really able to tell too much just off of the very limited information that they're giving you, but it's 100% clear to you that this person is hiding something and they are being incredibly suspicious. They want specific information, and it seemed like you didn't have what they were looking for. So perhaps playing around with the idea of the glory, Sarah, and whatever it is that ties them to this place.
I do deepen the mind to navigate the situation and try to recall what it is that Eliza said specifically that the glory was doing with Guillermo.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So do you want to roll mind or soul here?
I'm gonna roll probably mind.
Okay. Let's go ahead and roll me your D6 for your deep in the mind, and your mind is a D6, right?
It shifted down.
Okay.
So it's D8.
Okay.
Oh, that's a 4 and a 5. A 4 on deep in the mind and a 5 for mind.
Okay, so those are just a regular failure. You get 1 experience point. So I think what happens here is as you are trying to use your magic, you actually notice something. All of you see this actually physically happening in front of you. Ash, whatever it looks like when you cast your spell, you notice and realize that the light effects of your magic almost seem dim, almost seem as if you've taken the luminosity and taken it down like 20%. There's some kind of effect going on in this place nearby. And you also, because of this, realize that the torches that Ahi created, they're also dimmer than they were supposed to be. And Ahi, you know, you've used a spell a million zillion times. You know that, like, they're supposed to last a pretty long time, and this shouldn't be happening. Some kind of suppression is going on here.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go for it.
I think like there can be other things going on at the same time, but I think seeing the light dimming will kind of register on Ahi's radar, and they're gonna try to at least work on that. I think trying to figure out how to get through to Guillermo, they're like, not really a talking kind of person, so they're gonna kind of let everyone else handle that one. But they kind of just start wandering, I think, around the house to see if they can maybe either see the source of what is happening, or just if there doesn't seem to be like any core place, just a location that they can maybe just try to start getting rid of whatever the suppression is.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, and if you want to go about this kind of like analytically, critical thinking, you could do a mind, or if you want to go by gut feeling, you can do a soul check.
Cool. I think they're gonna go with a mind roll.
Okay.
I think they're just kind of methodically like looking and trying to figure something out. Just because it seems like we have a little bit of time as Guillermo warms up to us.
Yes.
Okay. Make sure I'm rolling the right dice. Okay. Oh, okay. I got very lucky. I got a 1.
Okay, fantastic. That's a critical success. All right. This is what happens. You begin to kind of wander around the very large boot home, and you realize that there's a window on the opposite side of the building. And you look inside, there are no curtains drawn. You get the sense that who needs curtains when you're the only person that lives on an island, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see that there are a number of plants that have been put into a pot, a long rectangular pot, and they seem to be well maintained. And you can tell that this is a person that puts a lot of care and love into deliberate action here. And you peer beyond and into the interior, and you can see that there is a small fireplace that must be the source of the smoke, and it also seems to be quite dim. And there is a lantern on a table towards the center of the room. It appears to be like a one-room dwelling, so you see like a bed and you see like a little kitchen. But in the middle of the room, there is a kitchen table, and there is a lantern, and there seems to be a parcel wrapped in some dark paper and some twine. The lantern seems to be distorted. Whatever is in that package is the source of whatever this is. You see the light literally almost as if it were paint and it was being smeared out of phase beyond the physical container of the lantern. It's being sucked in to the package, whatever it is.
Ooh, okay. And is this like a big window, or it's like just kind of like a little kind of like windowsill that they're got some plants on?
It's a decent window. Like it'll be like about 12 by 12. So like a person could, well, maybe bigger than 12 by 12. We'll say it's like 20 by 20. Like a person could squeeze in through there. But it would be a pretty like noisy endeavor.
Okay. Yeah, I think as Ahi was leaving, it seemed like everyone else was kind of doing things, right? Like okay, so I think Ahi is just like, take up the time to go back and tell them what I'm doing. They're like, it's fine. They'll figure it out. Like, and they're gonna try from the outside right now, just because they're like, this, maybe not jump to like the worst decision right away. They're gonna try to silence this package using their influence the atmosphere and see if they can kind of like contain whatever is happening, but they're gonna do it from outside the window, so that may have like a disadvantage to that.
Okay, yeah, let's do something fun here. So we are going to okay, go ahead and give me a roll here. It'll be a d6, and we'll use your mind, your d8. Yeah. And there is a mechanic that we'll introduce here. So I want to be upfront with you before we do a roll. Yeah. Let's see if I can find it. We are going to do a risky roll here. So what that means is, because this is at a disadvantage, you're at a distance, and it's through there's a material barrier between you and it. There could be some consequences here as you're trying to manipulate what is clearly something magical or whatever, right? Cursed, maybe, potentially. So as a risky roll, whatever you roll that isn't a success is considered a critical failure. So anything above a 3 will just instantly become a critical failure.
Cool. Yeah, I will still be taking that
Okay.
risky roll.
All right.
Okay. Oh no, it's a 4 on the mind roll and a 5 on influence the atmosphere.
So it is a critical failure. So what will happen here is we will have to shift one of your traits. I'll let you choose which one you want to shift. Essentially, as you're trying to do this, you push yourself too hard, it doesn't work, and it bites back in some way.
Cool. I will do the influence the atmosphere since that was the higher dice.
Okay.
So I'll move that up to a D8. Yeah, and I think it's because it's just something that they haven't used very often. They kind of were playing around, and it's just something they've done like recently. It's kind of messy. It seems like, I think we even get like a moment where it looks like maybe it's working, like the effect on the lantern goes down just a little bit, and then it just kind of everything like shakes a little bit, and then it just goes back to the way it was, and they're like, oh no. And I think they like get a little bit of like a shadow on their fingers for like a little while to kind of show the effect that this is temporarily not gonna go as well.
Okay, I love it. So as this is happening, we'll shift back towards the front of the dwelling, and Ahi has slipped away. The door has been closed, and you just aren't getting through. You can definitely tell that Guillermo is still on the other side of the door.
While Ahi's doing that, Ash is sort of like looking at Gizmar, who's just looking a little older, looking at Jax, who is like frustrated that she like hasn't, or that they haven't like been able to, reach this person. Like maybe she's projecting, but Ash is starting to get really frustrated thinking about the storm they just went through and all these things. And she just like bangs on the door and is like, look, I understand that you don't want to be bothered, and I understand that the only people you're going to talk to are the people of the glory, but in this situation right now, no one knows where the people of the glory are, and you're the only person that may or may not have had contact with these people in the last several days. So if you want the people that you actually like to talk to be found alive, you should help us.
As you say that, the door yanks open and Guillermo gets right in your face. And you see this weathered man. He has no hair, and you can see that his eyebrows have clearly been singed off by some kind of experiment that went wrong. You see weathered skin. You see these bright, tortured eyes. And he looks you right in the face, Ash, and he says, "The glory never showed up. I was hoping that they would. I have a very important package for them. In fact, I want them to take their object back. I tried to investigate it, and I found nothing but trouble. I don't know where the glory is. I haven't seen them. I'm waiting for them."
Ash is gonna like see if she thinks he's telling the truth.
Okay, yeah. All right, let's do a roll here. Let's get a soul roll.
Okay. 4.
Okay. That is a failure. This person is intense. You can tell that they are pissed off, that they are frustrated, just as equally frustrated. And I imagine, like, if we were going to, like, draw, like, a comic chibi version, like your foreheads would be pushed together, right? And you'd be like having like little angry faces at each other. So you don't really get much from this person, but you also get the sense like they don't really have a reason to lie to you. And I think with this, the door's like flung open. You can see Ahi on the other side behind Guillermo trying to do their spell, and they look frustrated. You see some lantern, but it's, yeah.
I don't back down. I like kind of stick with Guillermo's intensity, and I'm like, well, thank you for that information. If you are having problems with that object, we can take it off your hands because we were sent here by the people who are allied with the glory, and I sort of take out I take out the voucher, and I'm like, I know this isn't for you, but it's proof that we were just at Stronghold talking to them.
Snatch the paper out of your hand and yank it open and read it. Yeah, it's and then like the camera just like drifts over the shoulder of Guillermo and it says, "Dearest Eleanor, I hope you are doing well. I think often of you and fondly. I wish to let you know that this individual that bears this letter, they remind me of when I was much younger, and please treat them well. Give them what they need. I hope to see you soon. XOXO." And then like the name of the tavern owner. And you see Guillermo kind of disarm at this half love letter, half like vouch. And they just
Look,
fold it.
like I said, it wasn't for you, but it just proves that we were at Stronghold. We're not trying to deceive you. We just are looking for the glory, and maybe we can take this item off your hands since it seems to be so much trouble for you.
They fold it gently and just kind of shove it back into your hand. Let's have a roll here. So this is what we will call an encounter. And the way that encounters work in Shift is essentially it's going to be a you versus them kind of thing. And when you succeed against them, you shift their dice and you shift their traits. So I have created a handout, which will be secret for now, of Guillermo. Guillermo is a creature with the attitude keyword suspicious. And he has 2 traits. One of them will have to do with his physical body, and then the other has to do with his prowess and skill and etc. So I think this is you trying to shift his attitude in a more favorable light. What I will need you to do is to make a roll for me. You can choose however you want to activate your traits, which core trait you want to use. You have total agency here.
I think I will do another Deep in the Mind to try and sort of use my past experiences with people and like all the people that I've met along the way to try and just sort of like get a sense of his personality and what he speaks to best.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and roll me your Deep in the Mind, and you can do Soul or Mind here.
Okay, I'll do Soul.
Okay.
Oh no. That's a crit fail for Deep in the Mind. That's a 6 and a 7 for my D8 Soul.
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay. So you fail in shifting Guillermo's dice. He remains suspicious of you. And he says, "I don't know who this individual is, but Eleanor has never told me about them."
Oh, so you know Eleanor?
Maybe.
The shipwright at Pride's Point.
Yes, we do work together sometimes.
All right, well, I don't want to do this, but like maybe I could go to Pride's Point and then talk to Eleanor and then get a voucher from Eleanor to you. But again, like we've been through the storm.
There would be no point. Eleanor has nothing for you. A good set of hands to help you fix up your ship if you need it, but it's a moot point. Anyway, this is beyond Eleanor. I think it would be best if you leave Eleanor out of it. If you are who you say you are, and you see Guillermo look over to Gizbar, and then to you, Jax, and then there is that light of like, oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, I recognize you now. So there's a bit of something that disarms in him, but he doesn't speak to you directly yet. He looks back to Ash and says, "So you'll take what they were seeking back to Stronghold?"
Yeah, I mean, could you give us any more information about like what this item is and why they needed it? It might help us find them, retrace their steps.
Well, I couldn't get much out of it, and you'll see that he uses his boot to kick the door back even more open, and he gestures over to the table. Ahi, are you still standing at the back? You're muted.
Yeah, they're still there, and they're like, I think they were probably like pressed up against the window a little bit, and I think like seeing, like they might have caught like a little bit of like, you know, ash in the doorway. So I think they're like a little more pressed up because they were like trying to hear, like completely not thinking about like maybe I should just go. Like clearly my stuff isn't working. I should go join. I think they're like, I'll flank if we're doing something. So they're just like really pressed up against this window.
I love
very
it.
Weirdly.
So like Guillermo kicks the door open all the way. All of you can clearly see Ahi. Guillermo doesn't look back, so he doesn't see Ahi, and he just gestures to the table. And you see 2 brown packages wrapped in dark cloth that are covered in that are sealed with twine, and they are next to a lantern, and something funky is happening to the lantern. The light is bleeding out of the lantern, impossibly smearing past the glass barrier of the container and towards the package. And he just gestures and he says, "It's very important that this gets taken to Stronghold. Many lives are at risk. I don't know what the crown is for or what it does, but I don't want any more part of it. You can give it back to Sarah whenever you find them, but the other parcel is for the lighthouse. It should provide some measure of a device to help repair it permanently. I was hoping that Sarah would be the one to pick it up, but I guess you'll have to do."
How did you get your hands on it?
Well, Sarah and their crew came by months ago and left me a part of it. They wanted me to inspect it and see what I could divine out of it, and, well, it's nothing good.
Ash will very gingerly pick up the package.
Okay. There's a much smaller package on top, and there's a bigger one on the bottom. You pick up the small package?
I think I'm gonna try to take them both, so I'm picking up the big package to like then take the small package on top of it, unless it's like super heavy.
No. Oh, well, yeah, it is kind of heavy. You realize that the big package must be full of something metal. As soon as you try picking it up, you can if you want to. You can tell it's like got a lot of metallic clinking bits on the inside. The small package almost seems very light, like negligible.
I think from the window, Ahi is like pointing at the package and then just doing thumbs down. Like, and like kind of like maybe doing like a little circle in the vicinity of it, and then like pointing at the lantern and then being like, it's going down. Like the package is making it go down.
Do you like you frost your breath? You're like frosting your breath on the glass, and you start drawing on the glass.
Also, can I take a look around and see what kind of Guillermo's specialty is and why like they were given, like these devices were given to him?
Yeah, absolutely. Even just like with a cursory glance, if you want to get deep into it and like analyze stuff, you can definitely do a roll here. But for anyone who has a cursory glance, which Ahi, you would also see this cursory glance as well. There are a number of devices hanging from the walls, and you can see that there are a number of different potions and electrical devices. It's pretty clear that this person is an inventor of some kind, and they seem to marry mechanics with magic. So there is some kind of relationship there.
I know you said there's nothing good coming from this, but what type of magic would you say this is emitting?
It's nothing I've ever seen before. I can't tinker with it. I can't modify it. It's something dangerous.
All right. I'm gonna turn to the group and sort of like gesture, like, do we have any more questions? Well, we have this very elusive man.
I can help take one of the packages if it's too heavy for you. Happy to help.
From my experience, would Ash know whether or not Gizbar's like aging up like affect his like strength or anything, or what? Like, should I hand him the heavy stuff?
I don't think it
Look, I
necessarily
row every day.
has to.
I've got it in me. I still got some spry in my step. Don't you worry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll hand it over to Gizbar, and also, do you have like a dinghy or a smaller boat? Because our ship's sort of like, you don't have a dock, and we can't really like call this if we don't have some sort of thing to. We'll give it back.
As soon as you're like stepping out to give the package to Gizbar, he just closes the door.
All right, we'll look for one. I'm sure you have one.
Hey, nice meeting you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very important package. Don't lose it. People will die.
If it's so important, give us a dinghy so it doesn't get wet.
Yeah, if it's so important, tell us more. Jeez.
Okay, Gizbar, you want to shift his attitude? You can make a roll here.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, can I?
Yeah, what do you want to do? The floor is yours.
I'm trying to see if I really don't know if I can justify any of my traits.
You
How
don't
about-
have to use a trait. You can just use a mind, body, or soul if you want.
But I want to use a trait.
Oh, okay.
How about this, Stella? Don't hate me for this. Can I skills Wayfinder and wayfind my way through this conversation?
Okay, yeah, you can search for an answer. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to use your mind or soul here?
I'll do mind. I think mind makes more sense.
So that's going to be a D8 and a D4.
All right. Ooh, a 2 on the 8 and a 1 on the 4.
Okay, 2 on the 8 and a 1 on the 4. Okay, that's a success. All right, so you will be shifting the attitude of Guillermo. Guillermo's attitude will... What do you say exactly here?
No, what did I just say again?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
I think something about like, if it's so important, give us more information.
Yeah, like, okay, like you're being so cryptic about it. If it's good, if lives are gonna be lost, and like, geez, you don't gotta be so stingy. Just tell us what's up with this, how you got this, how this is gonna save lives. Like, you're giving us this thing, and it's this whole mystery box. We gotta.
and I'm like getting like out of air because I'm
Okay.
like old.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll say that this succeeds, and his attitude is going to shift to worried. There is a long silence between your efforts here and his response, but then the door opens again with a and he sighs audibly. He says, "Look, Sarah found something. I don't know where it came from, but we broke it off into 3 pieces. You possess one of them now, and the 3rd piece would have gone to Eleanor, but Boone didn't trust her and took it for himself."
Boone? Say Boone?
Boone is some treasure hunter, I think. Eleanor might know where he is, and I don't care for him. Bit of a scoundrel, in my opinion.
3 pieces, huh?
I think about my 3 moon tattoo on my chest, which is covered by my beard at the moment.
Well, good to know. It was great talking. You're an absolute joy to converse with, my friend. I hope to visit again soon.
Please don't. And he closes the door again.
I'll turn back to the group and like as before he closes the door, I like gesture to I am like, Let's get out of here.
Yeah, he will sprint back.
We'll say before he closes the door, he will look to Jax, and you have this moment of like, he obviously recognizes you as someone who has tried to check in on him before, someone who obviously empathizes. He looks at you. You all right?
Worried, but okay.
What exactly are you worried about?
And Jack kind of looks over his shoulder for a second, not really looking at anything. It's just Stronghold's lighthouse went out.
I was given word. That device, kind of up nodding what Gizbar is holding, should help.
The other piece, should a beacon not come in contact with it?
I don't know. If that is the case, then I don't know if anyone's going to find Sarah. Sarah had a piece.
When was the last time you saw Sarah?
A week ago? 2 weeks ago? Not recently.
And that was when they gave you whatever this is?
Yes.
Thank you, Guillermo. Stay safe.
You too. And you can see that he obviously has a very worried look on his face. And much more gently than he has previously, he closes the door.
So mentioned Eleanor might know where Boone is. Also, to clarify, Guillermo said Eleanor should have had one of the pieces, but Sarah didn't trust her.
Boone didn't trust her and took it for himself.
I see.
So presumably there are 3 pieces. One you have, one Sarah has, and one a person named Boone has.
Have any of us heard of Boone?
Yeah,
maybe
we do,
Jax. Yeah, anybody can do a roll here. We'll do a mind check here. And I'll let Jax do the voice of the people here.
4.
Oh wow, another one.
A 4? Oh no. With a 4.
Oh, that's a 4 for a D8 though.
Oh,
Wasn't
okay. So go ahead and
yeah,
mark your XP. That's a regular failure.
It's a crit fail on mind and a 2 on voice of the people.
Oh no!
Oh boy.
Okay. So you'll have to shift down your crit failure. Which one was it? Your crit failure?
The mind.
The mind. Okay. Go ahead and shift that down. I'm gonna go ahead and let's do other checks too. Anybody else roll?
Oh, I did a mind roll and I got a 6 on a D8.
Okay, that's a regular failure. Go ahead and mark 1 XP. How about you, Chris?
I did a mind as well, and I actually got a 1.
Okay, that's a crit success. Okay.
I could also, I fully was like, who is Boone? So like, I could just know who he is now because he told me.
No, okay, so this is what happens. Jax, you know of someone named Boone, but you've heard many different accounts, and they're all very conflicting. There are some reports of Boone being a terrible person, an opportunist that goes about taking advantage of people, and to the point of like even possibly putting them in harm's way, maybe a thief, maybe a scoundrel. And there are also reports of Boone being this extremely experienced treasure hunter. It's really hard to pinpoint the different layers of who this boon might be. The name is vaguely familiar. And we'll say, Gizbar, with your success, your critical success, Boone was on your boat one time. You ferried Boone from Pride Point to Stronghold. And you know he lives on Pride Point. You would remember a man he's a grizzled older man who was clearly very sure of himself, has been through a lot. You get the sense that he is someone who will do whatever it takes to get something done. And you know for a fact that they are definitely riding that gray line of, like, they're a good person, they're a bad person, but they're pretty reasonable. They, for example, haven't murdered anyone or, you know, haven't caused someone to be killed unnecessarily. But kind of a dangerous person.
Boone. I believe I've ferried a man named Boone once, a while ago. It's a distant memory, but I don't recall him being that amazing of a person, but also not that terrible of a person. Kinda right in the middle, but the kind of person that'll do what it takes to get what he wants, so someone we might want to watch out for.
Yeah, those are the people that always scare me because they're a little chaotic, a little unpredictable. They'll do whatever. But you know, I think our best lead maybe is Eleanor because they may know where Boone is. But I'm not a expert at Pride's Point. I can't say.
I do recall
What's
that
best?
Boone is also Prize Point, so if we want to make that our next destination, we just have to brave the storm again. If that's all right with you all.
So Pride Point is on this side of the shred, so it would be a pretty smooth ride along
sweet.
the coast. Yeah, you don't have to go through the storm.
All right. Also, learning there's like 3 pieces and all that stuff. I kind of, as we're like huddled up and I guess leaving the little shoe hut, Gizmo just kind of like looks to the group and he's just like,
What I said earlier about all of us being together again, I feel like there's more to it than I originally thought. Listen, there's 3 pieces of this item, this strange item. You know, there's 3 of you aboard my boat.
and then he kind of slowly reveals under his beard, you see like the 3 moon tattoo.
And this morning, quite a tragic morning, but this came up upon my body. This 3-piece moon thing. Feels like fate has something in store for us, and in my experience, nothing can wash away what destiny paints for us. Not even the rain.
And then we'll look toward you guys, and yeah, I feel like he has a sense that there's a purpose that all of us are on this path. 3 passengers upon my boat, 3 pieces of this item, 3 moon thing. Yeah.
What do y'all think? Am I crazy?
No.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
Jax, go ahead.
Does the tattoo look like anything that I would recognize?
Ooh, yes. Yes. It looks like a map of the Moon Isles.
Is it broken apart in a similar way that we have experienced the island, or does it look different?
It does look a little different because it's only 3 pieces, where the Moon Isles are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, are basically like 9 islands. So it is a little similar to that, but I will say narratively, like perhaps y'all swim, you get back to the boat, and Gizbar here reveals the tattoo, and perhaps it's that moment that one of you decides to open the parcel, maybe? If you want.
Let's do it.
What else could go wrong today?
Ash is probably more interested in the small bundle, so if it's cool with everyone, Ash is probably gonna open the small one first.
Okay, fantastic. You open it, and you hold up what appears to be one of the legs of a small crown, a tiara. And you get the sense, as you're holding it up, it perfectly mimics a third of the crescent moon that is on Gizbar's chest. And as you're holding it in your hand, you find this to be made out of some kind of silver, and it looks almost as if a purple-black coral is growing on the side of it, entwining around the structure. You would all know that one of the things about living here near the Maelstrom is that quick coral is an extremely dangerous thing. You know that there is a supernatural phenomenon where when the tides rise, the entity of the deep, this hungering, devouring thing, sometimes it will come out in this large consuming wave of coral, creeping coral, these vine-like, thick, dense fingers almost out of the ocean, and it will pull whole buildings, it will pull people, it will pull animals, landscape into the water. And it's called quick coral because sometimes it grows overnight. And you have all seen it as people who have lived in this universe, but this is somewhat similar.
Can I take a better look at the crown or the piece of the crown and discern its origins just based off of like my travels and
Yeah. Let's get a roll here.
can I do deep in the mind?
Yeah, go ahead and do mind and deep in the mind.
Okay.
Like a puzzle piece. It just fits on my chest just like that.
That's a crit success for deep in the mind and a crit fail for mind.
Okay.
Oh no.
Dang. We'll just say that's a regular success here. Okay. So it'll be a regular success, and you have to shift down your critical fail.
Oh man.
Or here, let's do a drawback, so you can flavor it
Okay.
in a fun way. Okay. So you are able to discern that clearly this thing is cursed. It's probably from the ocean, but you don't know what it does.
Okay.
Tell me what it looks like as you're doing this and how it backfires. What drawback?
Yeah, I already just like tired from going through the shred. Ash is sort of looking at it and using every bit of energy that she has to use her past knowledge to inform what's in front of her. And it's like it's coming to her, but I think like in terms of she's just wary, and if she just used the last bit of energy that she had to figure this out, and she's I think pretty exhausted right now.
Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and give you the drawback of exhausted for your deep in the mind. Is there anything else that anyone wants to do as Ash is checking this out?
I also have the second box, right? There's the second package?
Yeah,
The bigger one?
you're pretty sure it's just full of like mechanical
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
Mm.
And it's like 99% of the weight.
So Guillermo said that he was like tinkering with the crown part, right? Not the other stuff, and couldn't make sense of it.
Yes, couldn't make sense of the crown, and the big package is for the lighthouse.
Okay, if it is something that I could possibly tinker with, then maybe I might use my new trait. Uh, uh, I don't know how like technical it is, but yeah, my technical know-how, keywords,
Yeah.
handiwork, and mechanical. Like I'll try to just like see if I can get any information from taking a deeper look at it that Guillermo might not have seen, or if I can connect it to anything I've seen in my travels, if anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead and roll me a d6 and your mind. And while you're doing that, is there anything that you want to do, Ahi?
For Ahi, I was just wanting to use my technique for lengthen the wick, just because we've had a few
Yes.
drops and traits, just for a little bit. So I think
What does this
with
look
all
like?
of I think the way it works, I think Ahi actually, if we harken back to my little light ritual from earlier, I think they're kind of just a little off to the side. I almost wonder if like the coral is a little unsettling to them a little bit, so they're a little moved to the side and not really wanting to investigate, and instead start doing this almost as like a self-soothing ritual. So y'all see like the little motes come out, and they're kind of just like playing with them a little bit, like moving them around, and they kind of just take in how everyone is doing, and just notice that like the group is a little like we kind of worse for wear with everything that we've gone through, with like being through the storm, and now we've dealt with Guillermo, and we've gotten this weird cryptic package that we're gonna have to put together, and they just sort of let the little motes of light move around, and they just send them off towards everyone. Like 3 of them kind of go towards each person, and you see like a little bit of like the light on them just dim slightly, and that'll be the like soul being ticked up as they kind of take from themselves a little bit to help everyone else out.
I love that. So with the technique, while in the glow of your lantern, allow each of your allies to shift up any 2 trait dice. So every party member, you can shift up 2 dice towards your max.
Can I shift like 2 dice on the same ability? Because that's the only one that it shifted down twice.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
And
so go ahead.
Is this just traits or is this also core?
Yes. So we have your core traits and then you have your focus traits.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
both. Yes.
Beautiful.
I have an interesting idea, but you let me know if this is like
Okay.
not cool. So I don't have dice to shift up, like my dice are fine.
Uh-huh.
However, I do have the drawback that I aged a bit.
Uh-huh.
And I thought maybe it could be cool that, and Gizbar wouldn't know this, if the light upon reaching like Gizbar, like he starts to feel like the warmth of it, but then you see like his white hair start to like get less wet and more gray. The wrinkles start to get a little less pronounced, and it almost like de-ages him a little bit. And like Gizbar would never have experienced this before, I don't think, but discover that maybe the light can affect him in that way.
I love that a lot.
Yeah.
That's
I was
exactly
gonna
what
message this to
happens.
you, like secretly, be like, would this be cool? But yeah, if
No,
this is
it's
happening,
cool. Yeah, I
okay.
love it. I love it.
Because darkness is my like skill wayfinder keyword or one of, so I feel like I channel a lot of darkness and shadow, so I feel like a contrast to that could, because I think I'm drawing my tattoo powers from a dark place. The
Yeah.
light counteracts that, and then like you start to see like, yeah.
I love that. a lot.
My, I'm feeling a lot better than earlier. What happened?
So I will have
Hi.
something happen, but before that, Jax, is there anything that you want to do? It has been revealed that this crown has some quick coral potentially on it. A very bad sign.
Yeah, I don't know that Jax is doing anything other than kind of watching it happen, and especially as Ahi uses their magic, which is light-based. Is there anything that the crown like interacts with as like light kind of fills the boat a little bit more, or is it like is anything like weird happening with the crown and Ahi being present?
So I imagine as Ahi is using Lengthen the Wick and sending out these motes of light, when they pass close by the crown, they get a little dimmer, but once they move past it, it restores back to its full strength. And you do notice this interaction.
Yeah, I think Jax is just kind of keeping an eye on that and just kind of maybe trying to be a little bit between the crown piece and Ahi, just to like act as maybe like some sort of like shield in between the two of them.
Excellent. So as Gizbar is tinkering with the object, trying to discern more information about it, we see these motes of light moving out towards the rest of the party, unbeknownst to them.
Almost more stressful having no music.
Yeah, that silence was the worst.
Small ripples begin to tease over the water near the boat. It's kind of hard to notice them. The wind does this thing where sometimes it'll push and it'll have small waves, and can't really see anything right now other than these pinpoints of light that wash over the boat, almost like miniature stars, this warmth that is comforting, and it fills you the way that some hot soup broth rejuvenating you from within. And it's a sense of home, it's a sense of strength, and it's filling you, and this is a good moment. The camera slowly pans down, and we see, silently slipping out of the water, a single tentacle reach over and clasp onto the edge of the boat. And that's where we're going to end our session for tonight.
Oh.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I really, really appreciate that you have joined us for episode 2 of Undertow, a Shift miniseries set in Maelstrom. We are going to button up the episode by doing some shout-outs. We're going to tell you who we are, where you can find us, and we'll tell you what our favorite part of the episode was. But before we do, because I'm going to forget if I wait, the last episode of Undertow is going to be on June 22nd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and it will be the finale of this mini-series. So please, if you can, come check us out, join us for the rest of the adventure. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it on over to Rue.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rue. I've been Ahi, and you can find me on Twitter at Cherry Drop, and I think there are a couple other links of my card, which shows all the other things I've been a part of and some of the games and writing that I've done. My favorite part, I really liked the different interactions with Guillermo. I really liked seeing how everyone else like approached speaking to Guillermo, like between like the way Ash was like a little more like wanting to get that information and like kind of taking, you know, consideration of how he was presenting himself, and then Gizbar's just like, come on, we've got, I got old this morning, older, and we don't have time for this. And then like Jax's kind of like familiarity with Guillermo. It was just really cool to see the different ways that each character reacted to this really kind of ornery like character that was just like, I don't want to deal with any of you. Get off my lawn.
Get away from my boot. Excellent. Thank you so much. We'll pop on over to Jasmine.
Hi, I am Jasmine. You can find me at Twitter at L_Jasmine. You can also see me play more tabletop over at Hero Club's Twitch stream. And we do every Tuesday, pending our schedules, a very loosely adapted version of Wild Beyond the Witchlight. They are also best known for their podcast, which is basically narrated and edited down, but still completely improvised Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm on a couple of seasons of that. And my favorite part is, Guillermo's great. I also really loved seeing Gizbar's aging process and the tattoos that were involved, and yeah, it's just cool to see a mechanic like that play out.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We'll pop on over to Chris.
Hello, everybody. My name's Chris Tung. You can find me at Lil_Tungstone on most platforms, pretty much every platform. Most people know me as one of the co-founders of PinkCity.ca, which is an anime gaming streetwear brand from Toronto, Canada. Do a lot of cool stuff in the anime gaming community, as well as community events and streams sometimes. I'm also the editor, producer, and current GM of Super Journey Dudes, which is a comedy tabletop RPG podcast. Right now, every week, we are airing Blink Space Blues, which is our Cowboy Bebop, Gundam-inspired neo-noir Lancer show. A very fun time. They premiere every Monday on our Twitch channel, on the Pink City Twitch channel. It's the coolest thing I'm doing right now, and honestly, I think from what I've seen, the highest production Lancer show. It's got animation, special effects, music, art, all that fun stuff. So find me there. And then various other things. It is very fun. Yes. Thank you, Stella, for watching it that time.
It was so good.
Yeah. And yeah, my favorite part, oh gosh, I actually really loved it when Ash stepped up to Guillermo. I was just like, yes, that's so sick. I love that energy, and just the no bullshit part of that. That was great. I love that.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
And sorry, regarding I wanted to say something about shift. I love the system shift. But also what Jasmine was saying about how there's that aging mechanic with Gizbar. That wouldn't be possible without the shift system, where we had to think about drawbacks and the traits and stuff. Originally I just thought this guy would be an old guy in a canoe, but with the system he really has fleshed out to be something really cool. And I think just because the system is cool.
Yeah. So just to give a little more information about drawbacks, essentially from the GM's point of view, we have the ability to shift your dice. So essentially kind of representing your exhaustion as you're trying to do things, you're expending yourself, things get harder, right? Another thing that you can potentially add in instead of shifting your dice are drawbacks. And that basically helps us flavor those traits and essentially adds modifiers, and they can be basically negative keywords that tap into the traits and have a way to help narrativize the story. And yeah, the aging idea was really, really cool. I liked it. And just for transparency, the players have come up with various drawbacks. We decided in session 0 that to try to think of ways of how these traits could backfire, or ideas of what direction or plot line they want to go down with their traits. So that is something that we did collaborate together in our session 0. But yeah, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. And we'll pop on over to Lexi.
Yeah, my name is Lexi, but on the internet mostly I'm known as Pizza Yeti. You can find me over on Twitch and Twitter mostly. I stream a lot of video games on Twitter, or not on Twitter, on Twitch. I also write a little bit off and on. And I think my favorite part of tonight was also Ash walking up to Guillermo. But I also thought that narratively it was really cool when Chris came up with the idea of having light the wick de-age Gizbar. That was dope.
Oh yeah, that was really cool. It's yes, the cool thing happens. Screw the mechanics. Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought of it and I was like, could this be like a secret thing that I tell Stella like in private and then like you could bring it up like when it happens? But it was happening and I was like, what a perfect moment for it to happen.
It really was perfect.
So I ended up the same age as I was at the beginning of the session.
Woo, yay. Thank you so much, Lexi. I'm Stella Luna. You can find me on Twitch as Stella Luna TV on all other social media. So just to reiterate, our last episode of Undertow will be June 22 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Please check out Shift. The quick play is available for free on their website. Just check it out. It's really, really cool. And Maelstrom is their setting. They came up with all of this, and we are just playing in it. So thank you so much to Hit Point Press for letting us do that. We're going to have a... sorry, my brain farted. Thanks for being here. Having a good night. Goodbye. Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.